Good afternoon, everybody out there in Twitterland. It's just about 6 minutes to afternoon here, but it will be by the time you get this. So I pray everyone's doing well. This one, of course, is still geared towards my Epilepsy Cures account, as for it is Epilepsy Awareness Month. And yes, of course, it's purple again, but that pretty much fills my whole entire closet. So yes, it's for the month, but it is my favorite color. My big thing, with epilepsy, it's ironic, as I told you. I wasn't held back from doing things as a child. I was able to, be a gymnast. I was able to do dance class. I was able to be a cheerleader and go on the trips and stay overnight. That's another keen thing, is I was able to go to all the slumber parties, And the difference was that, my mom would give them a heads up as to, sure, what I had. But, the kids already knew. With my kid, it's pretty interesting. Sometimes it's just how God works, too. She was doing gymnastics. She's always been a very careful kid since she was born. And then it was just about 2 months before her seizures hit. She finally just said, what, she didn't want to do it anymore. And she was just not enjoying gymnastics. She just was so careful and so scared. She just wasn't like me in the whole, I would just jump on the beam and boom, I'd start throwing, handsprings at such a young age, and that's what actually got me on the team anyway. And she was very careful, and it just wasn't her thing. So it was just interesting because it was just a couple months after when she got, the seizures started hitting, one after another. And that's why I always give it to God. It was just a God thing that made her say, Mom, I want to stop this. Let's look into something else. And she actually got into dance where it's, it's on the floor. So, but, I know so many different stories, and I know for, at least parents, sure, it's hard, but, you can't hold, the little child who's got dreams back. There are, of course, you've got to be careful with a lot of things, and you do have to set certain boundaries, of course, especially when driving comes up. Like I said, I was very fortunate where my parents were actually going through a lot of financial issues all of a sudden. We had always been really well off, and I'd always been just very caring of my mom, and with all my brother had put her through being like the party boy, and that wasn't me. I was Mrs. Gymnast Girl. I concentrated on that and cheerleading and stuff, and just her emotions that, what my brother would do just really got to my heart. And so when I would see that, that wasn't something that was for me anyway. And when they, all of a sudden, finances just went plummeting. He had a car, he was driving, he was great, life and dandy. But I cared so much for my parents that when that all happened, I just knew it would all pan out sooner or later, And I think I knew deep down that, I wasn't completely, well yet seizure-wise, so I was dealing with the fact, too, that, what, it's fine, my mom will drop me off, everyone deals with it, my friends take me back and forth, and, I'm totally accepted. It just depends on how you accept yourself with it. And, I was fine with it, and so everyone else was, too. That's the big thing. It's just, to raise your kid, basically, to be able to, accept certain limitations in certain parts that have to be at the time. That may actually come up. And it did. I completely was, seizure-free for years, and that became my addiction, was driving. It's so funny. And, so go figure, But beside that point, the limitations I know, of actually a family member who is not by blood, but they have a kid. Like I said, it's the non-blood side that, have a kid. Of course, they blame me, but it's not really. It's because it's not the blood-sized kid. It was her, but it's just ironic. Beside the point. This little boy it was not until he was about almost 5 when he got diagnosed, and he was having non-stop absence seizures. And the mother got very overprotective to the point where he went from, actually he was about 6. He went from about 6 years old to almost like being 3. It was how overprotective. He couldn't swim because he was a great swimmer. He couldn't, you just have to observe. You have to be there. You have to be there anyway. They're a kid. But he was not allowed to do anything. And, basketball, nothing. And so he literally, in his mind, he literally went backwards psychologically. And he didn't, of course, want to be around anybody because he was embarrassed. He felt like this big. And when you do that, you just cause more and more medical issues than already just entered. And the same thing goes, if, you yourself, have epilepsy and you're restricting yourself so much. And that I've seen that happen with other people too. If you sit there and say, no, I can't, when in true reality, you legally can drive, or you legally can do this, or you legally should do that, then legally, why don't you take, you need to take that on yourself, and say, I can, and get out there and just bring someone along, get that support, and make sure that, you know that you can. And through that all, you'll have this all of a sudden just absolutely amazing feeling like, I'm not as restricted as I thought I was. And it's the best feeling in the world. Epilepsy does not have you. It does not hold you down unless you let it. And, yesterday was quite the day for me. And I'm sitting here still yapping at you. I had about 3 seizures yesterday. One when I was on Skype with a friend. And, it just knocked me out. But yet I still had to stay up and watch a movie with my daughter, and I get through it. And, it's just amazing, how you still have to, have that strength. And, the fact that, you have it won't bind you. It will not pull you down. But you can't let it. And I just absolutely love the fact that, I've gained that strength finally. It took me time, and it's actually become just something that's actually become a blessing, and I made so many friends through it, and, and I just love every single one of you. And just know that restrictions in some areas are a must, but in others are so not. And over restrictions just really will cause a lot more issues than even the whole entire actually having epilepsy ever would. So keep that in mind. You're not restricted, and it will not hold you back unless you let it. So anyway, many blessings to you. Just come my way and knock on my door at Epilepsy Cures. And I love to talk, and I've got many ways to talk. So just knock on my door, and I'll let you know where you can go. I love to Skype too, so let me know if you have an account there, and it's free. So blessings to you, and I pray that you have a wonderful day today and that you're seizure free. God bless.